Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and I want to talk about something mystical. All right, so let's dig into this. I have an information diet, right? I'm very careful about news. I don't just like drink news from the fire hose. A lot of people just put on CNN or some jank mainstream media and just like kind of drink from the fire hose. I stopped that a long time ago. I get the vast majority of my news I get in 1 week. Um, I get in 1 hour per week through the Slate Political Gabfest. Then I intake a lot. I intake as much present information as much information as I can about present Dungeons and Dragons. I consider myself a presentorian of Dungeons and Dragons. But a big part of my information intake is also comedians talking to comedians. And actually I like listening to comedians talk to comedians more than I even like comedy specials. And the reason why is I'm a firm believer that that comedy is right now where I want Dungeons and Dragons to be. And Dave Chappelle is at the very cutting edge of this. Dave Chappelle is really not a comedian at all. He's a philosopher king. And he is talking about current events, and he's talking about life at a very deep level, right? Um, and I'm a huge fan of him, and I really, and by the way, I also have 28. I did not get my philosophy minor in college. There's a professor who like really kind of took a dislike to me and cost me, like set it as a goal to make sure I did not get my philosophy minor, and I did not. And like I wish I had my philosophy minor. It's definitely a loss to me. But I can think that was kind of like the open of Scott Garibay having rivals, right? Like I've had rivals my whole life, right? Like I'm like Batman. I have my own rogues gallery, right? And yeah, I got a stream of them. And so it is what it is, right? But I was listening to Neil Brennan, so he's my main jam right now. He's got a podcast called Blocks. I think it's in, oh my gosh. And you know what? I'm not even going to get into that. I want to get to my main topic here. By the way, yeah. So thanks for your patience. We're getting there. So Neil Brennan was interviewing Jerry Seinfeld. So Neil Brennan's on his Blocks podcast talking to Jerry Seinfeld. Now, first of all, this would not have happened without the movie Unfrosted. So Jerry Seinfeld has a brand new movie coming out. He's got to do the rounds, and I'm sure his publicist is like, you got to go on Neil Brennan's new podcast. It's hip. It's going to get the right people, right? And so Jerry don't want to do this, right? But he goes on, and he's gracious, and he's professional, and he had a great talk with Neil Brennan. Neil Brennan is a top tier American comedian, like one of the best comedians in the world. And Dave Chappelle is a personal hero of mine. Really, his bravery in speech is like a template for me, right? And now he could take a lot more risks than I can. I'm believe it or not, I do a lot to mitigate my risks. But he's a personal hero to me, and Dave Chappelle would not be where he is without Neil Brennan, right? So Jerry Seinfeld comes on, and he talks very deeply, and he really breaks it down, and like he just dropped wisdom gem after wisdom gem after wisdom gem. He was making his wisdom checks all night. Jerry Seinfeld, brilliant man, talking about nothing but deep subjects with Neil Brennan. And he's like, well, um, and Dave and Jerry Seinfeld's like, I love this, right? And he explained that after he was done with the show, he did stand up. He went back to stand up, and he was working on doing stand up. He was working on doing stand up, which really blew my mind. After he did the show, and he said, and Neil's like, you could have done anything you wanted. You could have done more shows. You could have done movies. He's like, yeah, I love stand up. There's something mystical about it. Mystical. He said mystical, right? Jerry Seinfeld is saying that picking up a microphone and telling jokes to people is mystical. I'm here telling you, you can improve yourself. You can secure things. You can accomplish with Dungeons and Dragons. And people are like, no, No, it's just goblin shopping. It's just beer and pretzels. It's just for fun. Nothing can be accomplished with this nothing thing. You're wrong, right? And I want us to get where the comedian community is. They are not pretending. Neil Brennan's show Blocks is about mental health, not a joke, right? Like he constantly is discussing mental health and bringing people on and saying, what are your blocks? What are the compounds that make you a person, right? And he's talking about personhood and identity, and this is my point. The comedian community has absolutely no hesitancy to say, listen up. This is me, right? You are you. We're going there. We are going there, right? And they have. They have gone there to the point where they really are saying, we're not just telling jokes here. We're standing in front of a brick wall with a microphone, but you can get philosophy better than Kant ever dropped. Philosophy better than Hume ever dropped. Philosophy better than Descartes ever dropped. Philosophy better than Spinoza ever dropped. Right? And what I'm saying is that D&D is not what you think it is 10 times more powerful. It is everything we need it to be. And more. And way, way, way more. It's more, right? And I want us to stop being ashamed of us and not ashamed of it. I want us to get all the way there, right? And start to use Dungeons and Dragons to improve ourselves, to learn, to grow, to transform, to secure. And and the Lego community is fully here. They are literally doing social experiments with Lego, right? There are companies that are buying Lego as team building exercises. Lego has no problem saying we're more than a toy. We're more than just fun. We are for figuring out the human spirit, right? And the comedians are already here. We need to join them. We need to shuck off people who are saying, we need to shuck off the like shucking corn, right? We need to take that husk off, right? And say, no, we're not going to be held back because you demand this to be nothing more than a beer and pretzels goblin shop, nothing fun fest. We got things to do, right? And so let's join the comedian community and step up. Every single word you just heard is nothing more, nothing less than my humble opinion. What's important is when I hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic, please consider liking and subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.